Hanımlar beyler, Avrupa Parlamentosu içerisinden yayınlanan tek Türkçe program Brüksel Kargası'na hepiniz hoş geldiniz. 15 günde bir YouTube kanalımızda, Brüksel Kargası YouTube kanalında sizlerle birlikte oluyoruz ve her programda birbirinden ilginç konu ve konuklarla sizleri buluşturuyoruz. Programı bir grup gönüllüyle birlikte hazırlıyoruz. İsimsiz kahramanlara, benimle birlikte hareket eden tüm dostlarıma teşekkür ediyorum bu programın hazırlanmasında katkılarından dolayı. Bugün çok değerli bir konuğumuz var. Türkiye'nin Dostları grubu Genel Sekreteri Laura Bataya. Şu anda stüdyomuzda konuğumuz. Laura, hoş geldin yayınımıza.
Thank you very much for the invitation.
Öncelikle çok teşekkür ederim yoğun programından zaman ayırıp bizim programımıza katıldığın için. Hemen aslında ilk sorumla başlamak istiyorum. Türkiye'nin Dostları grubunun hikayesi nedir? Yani Avrupa Parlamentosu'ndaki Türkiye'nin Dostları grubunun kısaca hikayesi nedir? Nasıl kurulmuş? Kimler var bu grubun içinde ve tam olarak neler yapıyorsunuz faaliyet olarak?
Well, this is a group that was first established back in 2010 in the previous mandate of the European Parliament. And it was created by a group of MEPs who thought there was a need to have a better dialogue and communication with Turkey. And at that time, the president was a member of the European Parliament who's still a member in the European People's Party. His name is Alojz Peterle from Slovenia. And it was composed from members from all across the political spectrum. Nowadays, it still exists. It was again renewed in 2014 after the European Parliament elections. And today is composed by around 60 members of the European Parliament. We have two co-presidents of the group. One is from the European People's Party, Artis Pabriks from Latvia. He's a foreign affairs minister and defense minister. And also we have a member of the socialist group, Ismail Ertuğ. So this is the composition. At the moment we have members coming from the EPP, the European People's Party, the Socialists, the Liberals, the European Conservative and Reformists, where the British Tories are, the Greens. So it's mainly most of the political groups in the European Parliament.
Peki tam olarak grubun yani kurulma amacı nedir? Yani Türkiye'nin, hani çünkü Türkçe'de bir laf vardır. Türk'ün Türk'ten başka dostu yoktur diye. Hani ben de eski bir ekonomi öğrencisi olarak şunu öğrenmişimdir dış politika ile ilgili. Aslında ülkeler birbirleriyle dost ya da düşman olmazlar. Sadece aralarında bir menfaat ilişkisi vardır. Avrupa Parlamentosu'ndaki Türkiye'nin Dostları grubunun tam olarak düşüncesi nedir? Türkiye'nin Avrupa Birliği'nin bir parçası olduğunu düşündükleri için mi böyle bir grup kurdular? Yoksa yani Türkiye'ye duygusal olarak bir bağları var. Türkiye'ye gitmekten, oradaki tatil yörelerini gezmekten mi hoşlanıyorlar? Tam olarak nedir çıkış noktası?
Well, this is not the only friendship group that exists in the European Parliament. This has to be said. These are informal groups that MEPs, for one reason or another, decide to create in order to have more connections with that country. But one thing is true, and I can tell you, Turkey has a lot of friends, because at least, and I still think it's the case nowadays, in the current mandate of the European Parliament, is the largest friendship group in the European Parliament. In the past mandate, there were even more members than now. The reason that we have a lower number now, it's not because Turkey is losing friends. It's because either those members of the parliament didn't run for election or they were not re-elected. So, but it's important, and Turkey has a lot of friends in Europe, in this house, in the European Parliament. And the reasons are manifold, I would say. I mean, there are members who have a personal attachment to the country because they have visited the country several times, or because they have an interest. They are interested in trade negotiations with Turkey. They are interested in energy issues, in democracy in Turkey. So they are one way or another supportive of Turkey becoming closer to the EU and vice versa.
Evet. Peki Laura, tabii hani Türkiye'nin Dostları grubu bizi çok mutlu ediyor. Yani böyle bir grup olduğunu bilmek Avrupa Parlamentosu'nda. Politikacılar tabii ki üzerlerine düşen görevi yapıyorlar. Fakat burada sivil toplum kuruluşlarına hem Türkiye'deki hem de Avrupa'daki sivil toplum kuruluşlarına ne gibi görev düşüyor? Bu işbirliğini güçlendirmek için. Ya da şöyle de sorabiliriz. Siz istediğiniz desteği, işbirliğini bulabiliyor musunuz Türk sivil toplum kuruluşlarına?
Actually, The purpose of this group is to monitor EU-Turkey relations from a critical but constructive point of view. And mainly what the group does is to have formal and informal meetings with officials coming from Turkey, officials from the EU, the members of the parliament who are dealing with Turkish issues, but also people at the Commission, at the EAS, people coming from the ministries in Turkey. But I would say that most of the activities we've organized in the European Parliament are with civil society coming from Turkey, because Friends of Turkey has become like a contact point for everyone, both in Turkey and the EU, to contact when they come to Brussels. So we receive a lot of requests of groups visiting, Turkish groups visiting the EU, who want to have meetings in the European Parliament with members of the Parliament, but also officials from the other institutions. So we work very closely with them. We work with journalists, we work with all kinds of human rights NGOs. We've organized conferences with other universities in Turkey or think tanks in Turkey. So this is also their house. I mean, they can also use the European Parliament as a platform to raise their concerns and to have a dialogue with their European counterparts.
Peki Laura, sen kişisel olarak Türkiye ile ilgili düşüncelerin nedir? Türkiye'ye sık sık gider gelir misin? Orada mesela tatil yaptın mı? Türkiye'de arkadaşların var mı? Sen Türkiye'yi Avrupalı gözüyle baktığın zaman, buradan Türkiye'ye baktığın zaman Türkiye'yi Avrupa'nın bir parçası olarak mı görüyorsun?
Well, my attachment and my interest to Turkey is a very personal one, I would say, and very emotional one. The first time I went to Turkey was already a long time ago, in 2009, at a time where I didn't know Turkey at all. I was going there for a summer school on EU-Turkey relations organized by Bilgi University, when I also didn't know anything about EU-Turkey relations. And that opportunity changed my perspective and my way of looking to Turkey. And in a way it changed my life as well, because it's been since then that I have been going to Turkey regularly. I think I can say that I have been to Turkey now at least 50 times in my life, which is quite regularly in 7 years. So to me, Turkish people are very close to us in general. I'm Mediterranean, I come from Barcelona, so we are more or less very similar in this regard. But Turkey is part of Europe. We have been closely working together for many years, despite Turkey having been knocking on our door for half a century now. But we are already very interrelated. I mean, we can not do without one another. We have so many interests in common. We have so many issues that need our collaboration. So maybe at the moment, Turkey is still not a member of the EU and will eventually become one in the future if all conditions are fulfilled. But in a way, we are already related to each other in a very deep way.
Peki şunu sormak istiyorum son olarak, zamanımızın da sonuna geldik. Müzakereler donduruldu Türkiye ile, dondurulma kararı çıktı parlamentodan. Bu süreç içerisinde Türkiye'nin Dostları grubu olarak siz neler yaşadınız grubunuzda ve kişisel olarak senin bu dondurma kararı ile ilgili görüşlerin nedir?
Well, first of all, we have to say that relations have been frozen de facto for a long time now. And this resolution, the group as a whole didn't have a position because there are very different members with many different interests. We didn't have a common position. But I can say that no one favors, of course, stopping our dialogue. But this is not the purpose of the resolution either. The problem is that now this has no legal implications, so it's calling for a temporary freeze of relations until the country goes back to normal in a way. But in the meantime, as Friends of Turkey and many other members of this parliament who are not necessarily friends of the group, we are still continuing the dialogue and we are still organizing activities. At least every 2 weeks we have different conversations with different actors involved in EU-Turkey relations. So one thing is, let's say, at the political level, the other one is at the people-to-people level. So there are delegations going to Turkey. All groups and all members have been going to Turkey recently to assess the situation on the ground, to talk with the Turkish counterparts. So even if chapters are not being opened at the moment, that doesn't mean that our relation cannot advance. So we are working in every way we can to continue this dialogue open and to even strengthen it further. Because if we want to see changes in Turkey when it comes to democratic shortcomings, the only way to make this change is to influence more instead of less. So, in my personal opinion, this resolution could have been more constructive because the message was not clearly understood back in Turkey. And now we face a situation where mistrust is again on the table, but it will eventually calm down again, and hopefully we will be able to continue opening chapters and advancing the accession process of Turkey to the EU.
Evet, Laura çok teşekkür ederiz. Biz de Türkiye'de Avrupa Birliği vizyonunu devam ettiren kişiler olarak, kesimler olarak diyelim, Avrupa'da böylesine güzel dostlarımız olmasından dolayı çok mutluyuz. Umarız bu dostluğu daha da derinleştirerek devam ettiririz önümüzdeki yıllarda. Programımıza katıldığın için çok teşekkürler.
Rica ederim.
Hanımlar, beyler, bugünlük programımızın sonuna geldik. Laura'ya çok teşekkür ederiz katılımından dolayı. Bir sonraki programda yine ilginç konu ve konuklarla sizlerle birlikte olacağız. Lütfen Brüksel Kargısı YouTube kanalına abone olmayı unutmayın. Bir sonraki programda görüşmek dileğiyle, hoşça kalın.